Good day, guys. Sablami Dango here again, and this time we'll be talking about labor market. So, the labor market is also known as the job market, and this refers to supply and demand of labor in which employees provide and supply, which employees provide the supply and employers they provide the demand. It is a major component of any economy, and is um, and is tied in with markets of capital, goods, and services. So, at macroeconomic level, supply and demand are influenced by domestic and international market dynamics, as well as factors such as immigration, the age of the population, education level. Relevant measures include unemployment, productivity, participation rate, total income, and gross domestic product. According to macroeconomics theory, the fact that wage growth lags productivity growth indicates the supply of labor outpaced demand. When that happens, there is a downward pressure on wages as workers compete for a scarce number of jobs and employers have their peak of the labor force. Conversely, if demand outpaces supply, there's upward pressure on the wages as workers have more bargaining power and are more likely to be able to switch to a higher paying job, while employers must compete for the scarce labor that is available. While some factors can influence labor supply and demand, for example, an increase in immigration to a country can grow the labor supply and potentially depress wages, particularly if newly arrived workers are willing to accept lower pay. An aging population can deplete the supply of labor and potentially drive up wages. These factors don't always have such straightforward consequences, though. A country with an aging population will see demand for so many goods and services decline, while demand for healthcare increases. Not every worker who loses his job can simply move into the healthcare sector or work in, particularly if the job in demand are highly skilled and specialized, such as doctors and nurses. So, for this reason, demand can exceed supply in certain sectors, even if supply exceeds demand in the labor market as a whole. So every sector can have their different labor supply and labor demand, especially in a market of labor where like specialized labor. You need specialized labor for like doctors, technicians, teachers, not necessarily teachers, but places where you need um specialized labor. And factors influencing supply and demand, they don't work in isolation. Either if it's wearing for immigration, the US would be a much older and probably less dynamic society. But look, take example for like a country like US now. It's a country where a lot of people migrate to. It's known as the land of the dreamland. So if not for the amount of immigration that come in, and then they have surplus labor, their labor force is very high due to the immigration. So while an influx of unskilled workers might have exerted downward pressures on the wages, it likely offsets decline in the demand. So other factors influencing contemporary labor market is can be like threat of automation as computer programs gain the ability to do more complex tasks. So we all know that technology these days is becoming more and more sophisticated. So some of these jobs that are done by people before, people are now replaced with robots, people are replaced with machines, people are replaced with computers. So this will force industries to lay off workers, and that can affect the demand and the supply of the labor market. That's globalization. Globalization has enhanced globalization has enhanced communication and better transport links allow work to be moved across borders, and the price, quality, and availability of education and a whole array of policies such as minimum wage. And now we'll look at some of the factors that affect demand for labor. Look like wage rate. So the higher the wage rate is, the lower the demand for labor, and hence the demand for labor cost slopes downwards as in all markets. So like the higher the like government should set a minimum wage rate, the lower the demand for labor will be, but then the higher the supply, because people will now want to work in that sector due to the high amount of this thing. So at higher wages, firms look for substitute capital of labor or cheaper labor for the relatively expensive labor. In addition, if firms should carry on using the same quantity of labor, their labor cost will rise and their income will fall. For both reasons, demand for labor will fall as wages should rise. And another one is the demand for the product. If the demand for labor is the demand for labor is a derived demand, which means it is ultimately based on demand for the product that labor makes. If consumer wants more of the particular goods or services made by that um, particular set of by that labor, so like more firms will want the workers to produce more, and more firms want to go into the production of that goods or service. So that will to further increase the demand for labor and productivity of the labor. So productivity basically means output per worker, and if workers are more productive, they will be in greater demand for, because they have their productivity is influenced by skills level and education and training that every individual or the labor holds. Profitability of the firm. If the firms where these labors the labor is needed is making profit, then they will be producing more and the demand for the labor will keep increasing. But if they are not making profit, then there will be need for them to lay off some of these laborers or even shut down business, which will lay off most of the labor. So now we look at the factors that affect the supply of labor. Look, wage rate also affect the supply of labor, but here the higher the wage rate, the more the labor is supplied, but then the less the demand. So this means that the supply curve of the labor will now slope upwards. A worker's wage along with any bonus provides the main pecuniary benefit from working. So more people will now want to work when the wage rate is higher. And now the size of the working population. The working population is the number of people of the working age who are willing and are able to work. And the size of the working population is influenced by retirement, school leaving ages, migration, and numbers of people staying in university or acquiring education. So another thing is migration. For example, now look at a country like US. US is a country where a lot of people migrate into, and so because of the high level of migration in US, labor is labor is not a problem because the labor market in US is going to be quite large due to the high level of migration. For like labor for unskilled workers, and both even the skilled workers, for people that migrate in from all other different countries. So them it will be like a cheaper form of labor for that country, because people that will migrate in, they will be ready to accept less money for them to do the work that the people from that country itself will want to accept. So net advantages of work, as well as the wage rate decisions to increase or decrease labor supply, are influenced by non-monetary advantages such as changes in working condition, job securities, holiday entitlement, promotion prospects, and other psychological benefits of work. Improvement in these benefits will also shift the labor supply curve to the right. So all these are the things that affect the demand for the labor and demand and supply of the labor market, which are the two things that basically make up the labor market. Thank you very much.